What's good, Commanders fans? Just want to make a video about which players need more playing time and which players don't. Just looking at the snap count and percentages of the snaps that guys have played, and just a couple guys who I feel like deserve to get some more playing time. Most of those guys are really on the defensive side of the ball. And I think those guys will help us make some adjustments in our secondary. Now, I'm not saying they're going to come in and be locked down. Those guys, they have their deficiencies or their learning curves and plays that they've given up in the past that we've seen, or, whatever. They're not going to fix everything. Our defense is still going to be probably bottom half in the league if we put these guys in or give these guys more playing time. But I think it will be better. I think violence will happen more. Tackling will be better. A lot of the things that Joe Witt Jr. preached before the season started, I think these guys will execute better than some of the guys that have been playing. So guy number one for me is, let's start with Darrick Forrest, man. Like, I think he needs an opportunity. I think he deserves to play. I know it's a different regime. I know he's had a couple injuries. He was drafted by Ron Rivera, and if you were drafted by Ron Rivera, for the most part, they want to get rid of you, and a lot of that is warranted. It's not like I'm disagreeing with a lot of the decisions of them getting rid of or trading Ron Rivera guys, but there's still some Ron Rivera guys on the team that can certainly help. And I think Darrick Forrest is one of them. Now, Darrick, you talk about violence. He's a hard hitter. Look at, I know a lot of this stuff is from 2022. I get it. 2 years ago now, he had a couple injuries and really didn't play much in 2023. He wasn't good. He wasn't playing well before he got injured too. Maybe he was playing while injured in 2023. That might be part of the problem why he wasn't good last year in 2023. But he forced turnovers in 2022. I know the year with him and Cam Curl, they were like the best PFF safety duo in the league, and it was legit. Like, they were playing really, really well together. I know Cam Curl's gone, so who cares? But that year, Darrick Forrest was playing good football. 4 interceptions that year, 2 forced fumbles. Like, right now, we're not forcing any turnovers really, except for Ben St. Juste. We're not wreaking havoc. We're not hitting hard. We're not doing any of that. At least we know Darrick Forrest will at least come out there and hit somebody hard. Like, Frankie Lou was the only one guy who really hit somebody so far this season. Him and Bobby Wagner, that's about it. But Darrick Forrest has a knack for being around the football. He really does. And I know I was actually surprised he made the roster, but actually I'm happy that he made the roster, because I really think he needs to replace Jeremy Chin out there at this point. I really do. I think he needs to replace him. But you look at the 2022 season, played in 17 games, 11 starts, 4 picks, 9 pass deflections, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. I mean, I remember the forced fumble on Jonathan Taylor. I remember the interception he had against the Eagles. It was either interception on Monday Night Football or a forced fumble, one of those, where he made a play in that Monday Night Football game. The interception against the Texans, where it was a beautiful interception catch right before he went out of bounds. That was awesome. And then, like I said, he had 2 forced fumbles. He had the big hit on Travis Etienne in the first game of the season against the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2022. So he made some really big plays, man, in that 2022 season. Look at some of his advanced stats back in 2022. If he can have somewhat of a resemblance of that 2022 season, then he would be a huge upgrade to at free safety at this, or strong safety at this point. He gave up a 75.4 quarterback rating, which is really good. And quarterbacks were only able to complete 54% of their passes against Darrick Forrest. 30 out of 55, which is really good for a safety. And missed tackling percentage in 2022 was, guess what? A 3.3 missed tackling percentage. I want to pull up Jeremy Chin's stats right now on Pro Football Reference and just look at his missed tackle percentage. I think it's pretty darn bad. And sometimes stats aren't always accurate. Right now, he has a 20% missed tackle percentage, which is terrible, which is awful. We probably go out there and tackle better than him and Michael Davis. Michael Davis is another guy that deserves less playing time. Jeremy Chin against who did we just play? The Giants. He played 100% of the snaps against the Giants, and that's unacceptable. He should not be playing 100% of the snaps. And I get it. We don't really have a backup free safety out there. I mean, we got Percy Butler out there. Percy Butler probably deserves some more playing time. I would throw him out there a little bit more than Jeremy Chin. I think either of those guys, honestly, would play harder and tackle better. Yeah, Jeremy Chin played 56 snaps, 100%. Bobby Wagner played 56 snaps against the Giants. I'm fine with that. Ben St. Juste played 56 snaps. He needs to play 56 snaps. And then Frankie Louvu played 55 snaps, 98% of the snaps. Quan Martin played 53 snaps, 95% of the snaps against the New York Giants. But Jeremy Chin deserves less playing time. He should not be playing all those snaps. He should not be playing 56 snaps. You know, I get it's the first 2 games of the season, and Jeremy Chin, he took that pay cut. Like, he was like, oh, I could have took some more money somewhere else, but I really wanted to play with Joe Witt. I really wanted to play with Dan Quinn. And that was the big story of the offseason. So I do want to give him a little bit more of a chance. But this Bengals game, going up against a tough wide receiver unit, if T. Higgins plays, Jamar Chase, Mike Gesicki, those guys, if we see another lackluster tackling effort from Jeremy Chin, he needs to be benched. And they benched Michael Davis. Michael Davis played 23 snaps against the Giants. He played 41% of the snaps. He just had to be benched during the game because it was just so bad to the point where he was unplayable. But they may have to do the same thing to Jeremy Chin, and they should activate Darrick Forrest. Defo should be activated. Darrick Forrest's dad went on Twitter, and I'm not the biggest fan of seeing people's parents go on Twitter, but it is what it is. They want to support their kids. I'm all for that. I do remember some parents, for guys who are not on the roster anymore, they did do a lot on social media talking about how much they should get paid and this and that. But I understand Darrick Forrest's dad, where he was coming from on Twitter, where it's like, hey, man, are you guys serious? I got to put up the tweet here. If I find him, I'm going to put it on the screen where Darrick Forrest's dad was very upset. It was like 12:30, 12:45 when we found out that Darrick Forrest was going to be inactive again and in street clothes or in a tracksuit. And Darrick Forrest's dad was not happy at all. And I agree with him, man. Like, he deserves more playing time. He should be playing. Another guy is Tyler Owens, man, who was the preseason darling, the training camp darling. He forced a fumble. He had a touchdown saving tackle against the Dolphins. The biggest thing for right now is, okay, we can't cover. That I'm not gonna say that's fine. We can't cover. We already know that. But I didn't know how bad the tackling was gonna be. I think that was the biggest surprise to me, how bad of tackling the defense has done so far. Jeremy Chin gave that touchdown run to Devin Singletary where he couldn't wrap up. Couldn't wrap up on Daniel Jones, and then Michael Davis just couldn't tackle Malik Nabers to save his life. It's like, it's okay. If you get beat by Malik Nabers, okay, it happens. But you got to finish the play. You got to tackle. And that's something that guys just have not been able to do. Tyler Owens is a guy that was getting TFLs. I know it's the preseason, but he plays with reckless abandon. He plays hard. He forced turnovers in practice. He forced a turnover in the preseason game. So he has a knack for ball is life, like Joey Jr. always preaches, getting the football some way, somehow. What did he run? A 4.3 40-yard dash, had a 12-foot broad jump. I mean, he's just an athletic freak. I think it was a 41-inch vertical leap, which is pretty insane. And Tyler Owens, man, he's just got that speed to him. I know he can kind of over-pursuit on plays. 6'2", 218 pounds. 4.3 with a 41-inch vertical, huge arms. In the game against the Dolphins, he had three snaps at the line of scrimmage, 11 in the box, 2 in the slot, 1 outside, and 19 at free safety. So you can move him around as a chess piece out there, and Joe Witt Jr. can get creative, use him as that star hybrid safety linebacker kind of guy. And like I said, he had some really big plays on special teams too against the Dolphins and the Jets as well. So I think he's a guy that deserves more playing time. In the preseason, he had a 75.7 coverage grade, 39 coverage snaps, 4 yards allowed, and 2 run snaps in the preseason. So, I mean, this is the guy that was hyped up in the preseason. Give him a chance. I mean, see what he can do. I mean, he can't really be much worse than some of the guys that we got out there right now, to be honest with you. Another guy I have is Dominique Hampton. He had a solid preseason. I just want to see what he can do. Give him a chance, see what this guy can do. I know it's going to be hard to have Tyler Owens and Darrick Forrest active at the same time, and Jeremy Chin. Just the numbers are not going to work out, especially with the defensive tackle situation and the defensive end situation. But I just want to see him play. I want to see what he can do out there. Maybe it might be a little bit too early, but he's a guy that I would consider for more playing time. Noah Igbenogbe, I think he's done a solid job. Now, I know he had the pass interference on Malik Nabers, but he had 33 snaps, so he got 59% of the snaps. So I wouldn't say he deserves more, but I would like to I want him to get consistent snaps, because against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I thought he did a good job when he replaced Emmanuel Forbes. So I think he's a guy that can be a good rotational corner. He may be, I know Mikey Samer still is our solid slot corner. He struggled so far, but we know he for the most part, he's going to be our slot guy. But on the outside, it's probably going to be Ben, and then Noah I, honestly, are our 2 outside corners for the most part. Yeah, it's really just going to be Noah I, and Ben St. Juste is our cornerback number 1 at this point. Mikey's our slot, and then Noah I's on the outside. Bobby Price, I want to see some more of him, but that's another safety. And then also Jamin Davis, he was inactive. I think he should get a shot to play. I thought he was good in that Buccaneers game in limited snaps. He was the highest PFF defender on the team against the Buccaneers. That's not saying much because we were terrible in that game, but I think he provides some explosiveness, pass rushing. And we just were not able to get any pressure on Daniel Jones. Not much pressure. We got pressure on Baker, but we just weren't able to finish. But if we want to get to the quarterback, I think Jamin will help. I'm not saying that Jamin's going to solve all problems because it's still a learning curve for him at this position. But we wanted to see him, be converted. Dan Quinn talked about converting him to a defensive end, and he has. And there's still a way to go for the development process of him switching to that position. But he's a guy that provides some speed and explosiveness. And we just haven't gotten much from Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler. Haven't seen much. So why not give Jamin Davis more of a chance? Nick Ballore is a guy who I said might have to deserve some less snaps if he's going to keep doing holding and unsportsmanlike conduct. Give those snaps to Colson Yankoff on special teams. And I think that's about it that I got for more snaps and more playing. And Noah Brown, if you look at his snap count, I was actually surprised. I know they're trying to ease him in or whatever, but they need to move on with the easing him in. He needs to play more snaps. He needs to play just as many snaps as Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin had 66 snaps against the Giants, and Noah Brown had 20 snaps against the Giants. Like, that's got to go up. Luke McCaffrey had 40 snaps. De'Ami Brown had 50. Olamide Zaccheaus had 24 snaps. So Noah Brown should definitely get really 66 or whatever, how many snaps they get on offense. Like, as many snaps as Terry gets, Noah Brown needs to get as many snaps. Like, he's legit wide receiver number 2. He might legit at this point be wide receiver number 2. I know it's really early. It's only 2 games, so we don't want to react too much or overreact to anything at this point. But Noah Brown needs to be out there as much as possible. And also, he really was the best pass blocking wide receiver out there. He was really the best pass blocking guy out there on the team for sure. Or run block, or really kind of just gave the most effort. Like, everybody struggled with run blocking. Like, Luke McCaffrey was a 28.9 run blocking grade per PFF against the Giants, which is really awful. Terry was a 36.3, which is awful as well. And Noah Brown was a 30.5, but it looked like Noah just gave more effort than other guys. But as a whole, they got to improve in pass protection. And then another guy, I would like to see Brandon Coleman get more playing time, but he didn't have a good game against the Giants. He did give up pressure to Kayvon Thibodeau twice, and then he lost a rep in the run game as well. And he's a rookie. He's learning, and he didn't play in the preseason at all, barely played in training camp. So I'm not ready just to anoint him past Cornelius Lucas yet. I know a lot of people want to do that, and Brandon Coleman played in 22 snaps. Cornelius Lucas had 50 snaps. Cornelius Lucas had a 69.4 pass blocking grade, and Brandon Coleman had a 16.7, which is really, really awful. Like, Brandon Coleman was the worst PFF graded offensive player on the team against the Giants. So I know a lot of people want to bump up Brandon Coleman already, but it's baptism by fire. The only way he's going to get better is by playing. So I don't know how long Dan Quinn's going to do this sharing snaps thing, but if Brandon Coleman does struggle, and let's say he gets another 16.7 grade and struggles against whoever the defensive end for the Bengals is, and who do we play after the Bengals? I gotta look at the schedule. Then maybe majority of the snaps will go to Cornelius Lucas. Like, if we're really legit in the playoff hunt, and the NFC East is still wide open, and the Cowboys can certainly lose to the Ravens, the Eagles are definitely gonna lose to the Saints, in my opinion. The Giants are just awful, so they're gonna lose again. They're probably gonna be 0-3. Weeks go by, and let's say we're 4-4, and the Cowboys are 4-4, the Eagles are 3-4 or whatever. And the Giants are 0-6 or whatever, 0-7, 1-6, and we're fighting. We're legit in the hunt. Like, we legit have a shot at the NFC East. Then I think you have to make a decision on playing one left tackle strictly instead of doing this swap in, swap out kind of thing. That's just my thoughts on it. So we'll see how Brandon Coleman does. Hit a solid game against the Buccaneers. Decent game against, well, not a decent game. Didn't have a good game against the Giants, but it's a rookie learning curve. And then also, lastly, I do want to congratulate Austin Cyborg for winning Special Teams Player of the Week. Very, 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 very well deserved. He had a great game, 7 for 7 on field goals. I think the Giants are the first team to lose to a team that didn't score a touchdown like all game or something like that. And all they scored was field goals. I got to look at the statistic, but it says, the Giants became the first team in NFL history to score 3 touchdowns and allow no touchdowns and lose in regulation. Just an incredibly terrible stat by the Giants. And Brian Dable definitely made a bad decision by not putting another active kicker on the 53-man roster. But shout out to Austin Cybert, man. It looks like we finally found a kicker. Once again, it's still early on that because it's only been one game. But if it was Riley Patterson out there, he probably would have shanked at least one of them. If it was Ramiz Ahmed, he probably would have shanked one. Cade York, he probably would have shanked one. And another important thing is, too, on the kickoffs, Austin Cybert never kicked the ball out of bounds. That's a big thing, too, because Cade York, when he did the kickoff, he kicked the ball out of bounds and gave the Buccaneers really good field position. So that's another thing, too. And there's another really good stat about Luke McCaffrey and separation. I may just make a separate video talking about Luke McCaffrey, but he did a really good job of separating again. Jaden Daniels did miss him down the field twice. So I know a lot of people are going in on Terry, but there's some things that Jaden is missing down the field. There's some part of being a rookie and a learning curve, and he's going to get better as he goes along. Like he found Zach Ertz down the field twice or 3 times, and he found Noah Brown in that last game-winning drive as well. So some of it is on Jaden. He just has to be better seeing the field, but I think it will come with time because he's getting better and better each game. All right, you guys let me know what you guys think, if there's any guys that deserve more playing time. Also, Chiggy Inuzue at cornerback. He was a big UDFA signing, a hyped up UDFA signing. Now, I know he struggled in the preseason, but, I think he may be a better tackler than Michael Davis. So you got to try, because you're bringing in guys like Kayvon Seymour, no disrespect to him, then I don't see why you wouldn't try out your high priority UDFA signing in Chiggy. So, all right, you guys let me know what you guys think. As always, Hail to Commanders. Peace.